much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 17, episode 6. So let's get into it. The episode opens up where it left off, where we have Gina and Heather sitting in the ATV. Gina's having a full-on meltdown and is so upset and dismayed by Jen, speaking about her infidelity, saying that it's triggering her to have, these feelings about her situation with her ex-husband, Matt, and how, she never really processed that marriage breaking apart because it happened so quickly and she just had to smile her way through it. And now having Jen around is causing her to relive those feelings. Heather is telling Gina, girl, I know you have these feelings and it's okay for you to have your feelings, but it's best for you to get a therapist and stop dogpiling all this information on your current relationship because that's not fair to him, i.e. Travis. And I agree with Heather. It is not fair that Travis is doing all this emotional labor for Gina. If you really are not over Matt, your ex-husband, or the situation that happened, which is you can't tell people to get over things, but you need to go sit on somebody's couch weekly or every 2 or 3 weeks or monthly to sit down and actually fight your way through to get to the other side to genuinely heal. Because to me, it's not fair. It's not fair that every 5 to 10 seconds you over here, I can't be with someone who's justifying their infidelity. And it's not like Jen is justifying her infidelity. That's the part that's weird to me. Gina's trying to act like Jen is out here being like, yeah, I cheated on my husband and what? I got my new man. She's not doing that. She's like, it happened. And I hate that it happened this way, but I wasn't happy in my marriage. I met Ryan. Me and Ryan had our situation, and we really didn't ultimately get together until me and my husband divorced. She even takes ownership that she moved the wrong way. So I'm confused as to why it's so triggering to Gina when it's she's not boastful about it. She's even accepting accountability. The fact that she is accepting accountability should be a way for Gina to move on from this, but she's not. And it's stupid. It is so actively stupid. And I want Gina off the cast. And normally I am not that housewife fan that calls for people to get kicked off like that. And I be trying. When I tell you I try, because I actively know that this is a show built off of entertainment, and there's not everybody on the cast I'm going to but the last 10 minutes of this episode, and I watched this on Peacock, so they show the never before seen footage. The last 10 minutes of this episode really grinded my gears. And we'll talk about it when I get there, but the way Travis is it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for you to constantly hear somebody talk about their ex. Because it would make me feel like you rebound to me, like you're settling for me. I'm just here to help you sift through your trauma. So when you get better, you gonna bounce and leave me. And it also feels like you're not over your ex-husband, which is okay. Go to therapy. So the scene switches to the ladies getting into their pajamas. They talking about, Heather's where's my blunt so we can smoke and eat. I know that feeling. And as everyone's putting on their pajamas, you see Taylor, Shannon, and Tamara in one of the tents together. And they're like, girl, well, did you talk to Jen? How did it go? And Tamara's like, yeah, I sat down and I talked to her. And I pretty much told her, girl, he did say those things. And she was kind of caught off guard. She was like, also, I heard that he's not a stranger to having relationships with married women. That's just what he does. And he's not a good person. And Tamara's like, I'm just ultimately looking out for her family. And it's you're not. You're not. You're not. And I know Tamara makes for good TV, but she is a horrible friend. Because if you were really concerned about Jen and her relationship with Ryan, you would have pulled her to the side and maybe had a sit down with her and been like, girl, this is what I heard from Heather Amon, and y'all could have went from there. But you blasted her in front of everybody. You told Shannon and Heather before you told her. And now it just looks like you brought her on this show to have somebody to expose and take down. because you didn't really, because that's what it feels like. It feels like Tamra came on this show to take down Shannon, to really get at Shannon's neck. But then she realized that Shannon wasn't going to play the game the same way, as getting just as hysterical and wound up as she normally is. So then Tamra shifted to being like, oh, we're friends. Like, this is my ace. This is my friends. You know, we fight like sisters. To now she wants to fight with Jen and really come at Jen's neck, because it's like, well, I'm not going to really fight with Heather or with Shannon anymore. Let me go after Jen, because Jen's story and her family is like, it's a juicy topic. Like, girl, you cheated on your man, your husband. Now you're with the guy who's known as the town whore, and you acting like you don't adamantly see these blaring red flags at you, that he's still out in these streets. And now it's like, you're gonna play stupid. So it's like, it's cool that Jen is on the cast and she's adding this, and I get why Tamara is coming at her, but she's not your friend. And don't try to act like your actions are shrouded in like, oh, this is my girl, because she's not your girl. You bring her on this show so you can have somebody to play with, and she not really hip to you playing these games with her, because Jen is caught off guard. Girl is shook. She is confused, and she don't understand why this is going down. So they don't eat, like, they eat their food while they're like out by the bonfire, but nobody wants to sleep outside. I wouldn't want to sleep outside either, when the villa and their actual beds are like a good couple of 100 feet away. Let me hop up in this ATV and drop me off. So they go back to the villa. Everyone's high as a kite. They're eating, dancing, twerking, and having a good time. So they wake up the next morning, and we find out that half the group is going to go sky fishing. Or it's fly fishing. Fly fishing, the other half is going to go whitewater rafting. So before they do that, we see Jen on FaceTime with Ryan, and she's upset. Sis is upset. She is distraught, and she cannot believe that Tamra is doing her this way. Like, she on the phone with Ryan, like it's beautiful here, but I can't believe Tamra is doing this to me. And Jen feels like Tamra is trying to taint everyone's picture of what her and Ryan are trying to present. And my thing about it is, I feel like Jen already did that. You told everyone that man said he's never been faithful. So everyone's like, okay, so you're with a known cheater. On top of that, it's like you got with him by way of an affair. So I don't think anybody was going to have like this picturesque picture of like you and this man's relationship. I think she's making it worse. But if you were to told me that like you're with a man that has never been faithful to any of his relationships, and you got with him by way of infidelity, I would automatically think your relationship was doomed to fail from the start. Because I am an avid believer is the way you get him is how you lose him. Y'all cheated together, which means he will cheat on you to get with the next girl. And it seems like that is what he's actively doing now, but you're like, you don't want to see the signs, Jen, because it's giving you don't want to see the signs, sis, because the signs are there. When that sit down, let me know your man's still in them streets, and you know that man is still in the streets. So she decides not to tell Ryan what's going down or what Tamra said. So we see the group split up. So who goes whitewater rafting is Tamra, Jen, and Taylor, and then fly fishing is Shannon, Gina, and Heather. Fly fishing looked boring. They kept falling in the water. I know that water is ice cold. They were constantly screaming about the critters in the lake, and I'm like, well, you went into their home. Heather was confused between waiters and waitors and got it mixed up because she thought the guy was saying like, oh, they're coming waiters, and she was like, ooh, are they cute? Thinking that there was going to be some nice looking gentlemen to help them. And then when they went whitewater rafting, I've been whitewater rafting. I went this year, and it was a lot of fun, so I probably would have did that. But the way I would have been pissed at Tamra, because I don't understand why they put Tamra in the front. Because when we went whitewater rafting, they told us the people who didn't mind getting wet and who were very good at swimming should be in the front, because they're normally the people that shoot out first. And then people in the back should be the, like, you know, who are also strong. I sat in the middle. I can swim, but like I didn't want all that responsibility of like steering the boat or keeping us. So I'm like, I'm gonna keep the pace this way. But Tamra immediately when they get to the rapids does not use her paddle because that's how you get through the rapids. And the rapid that I saw, it looked maybe like it was a category 2 or 3. They weren't on any like 4s, I don't think. Maybe, but it didn't look that way. And like the guy is anchoring the boat. Tamara shoot like is just holding on to the paddle, not even helping. And I was like, why would y'all put her in the front? Why would y'all put her in the front? The way I would have cussed Tamara out, I was with Taylor. Taylor kept saying effing paddle. Paddle. And I'm like, yes, girl, paddle. Like Taylor was in there, rowing for dear life. And I'm like, girl, she would have aggravated me. Then a funny scene happened where the guy who's the instructor, his balls fell out. And I'm like, are y'all not going to tell him his nuts keep falling out of his shorts? Like, are we not going to tell him he is exposed here? But he was 23, so all of them felt like they were looking at their son. So nobody was like aroused. Well, no, Taylor thought it was something cute. But Taylor has a daughter, so maybe it just didn't hit her the same. She was like, I couldn't stop looking. But they seem to have like a good time. So it's the last night in Montana, so they're having dinner. Everyone comes dressed in their best little cowboy outfits, and they sit down. And I think Tamara brings up saying, like, what was your highest moment of the trip and what was your lowest moment of the trip? Shannon goes on this whole speech about how she's so happy that her and Tamara are in a better place. She's about to cry. She says that she missed her and she hoped that they can continue. I forgot to mention in the last review that there was a scene of Shannon and Tamara in the bedroom, and Tamara apologizes to Shannon. Shannon apologizes to Tamara. Tamara ends up saying that, I felt abandoned and I lashed out pretty much. And Shannon says, she wished she could have been there more for Tamara, but she wants to keep being where they are at now. So they're having that moment. Then it switches to Heather. And Heather's like, my highest moment was shoveling the horse poop. And everyone's like, what? And Heather pretty much says in a way that like, it gave me more of appreciation for people that do all these tasks, for like the people that get our meat and all this other stuff that you never really think about it that way. So everyone at the table is like, really, Heather? Tamara's like, are you saying the high was seeing the other side? And I'm like, that could be someone's high. That's what people do charity work for, like giving back to the community. One, like a good example is me. I worked in retail. Never again. But do I appreciate those who do work in retail? Yes, because I know you got to be built different to work in retail. And I respect everybody who works in retail, who deals with the public, because the public sucks, okay? General population sucks ass, okay? We just do. So I try to treat everybody with respect who works in retail because I know what it feels like to work in retail. So I was like, y'all are making a big deal out of nothing. Like, I felt like after this dinner, everyone was just nitpicking. Like, especially Shannon, Tamara, and Gina were just really nitpicky because I'm like, what she said was not that big of a deal. And then Heather says her lowest moment is pretty much she felt left out when it came to Shannon and Tamara. So Shannon and Tamara are like, girl, what? We never left you out. You were in the bedroom with us. And they show a flashback of them all getting ready in the villa and Heather laying on the bed. But if Heather felt left out, she felt left out. She starts bringing up how it felt like what it felt back 8 years ago when I guess Shannon joined the cast, and she felt like her and Tamara kind of like grew apart when Shannon came into the picture. And so Shannon and Tamara feel some type of way. You got Gina being like, are you really arguing about a blow dryer? Because we find out that what Heather is referring to is that earlier, before they all got ready to go sit down and have dinner, that Tamara was doing Shannon's hair. And my thing about it is I believe Heather felt left out because Tamara, when she was doing Shannon's hair, made a slick comment about how, I could put that on my IMDb. So y'all are making fun of her. Y'all got cute little jokes about Heather. So them acting like her feeling left out is, to me, not fair, because I feel like it is justified. They've been all clicked up together and now Heather feels some type of way. And I think that's okay. I do think that she shouldn't have addressed this at the table in front of everybody. She probably should have had this conversation with them when it was just the three of them in the villa, and maybe the reaction would have been different. But to do it in front of everybody, it kind of put it kind of put Shannon and Tamara on the spot. And people don't like being put on the spot, especially if it's in a negative light. So they were like, "You felt left out?" Because we didn't feel that way. So Heather ends up getting up from the table because her back hurts from shoveling the horse poop. And you got Tamara and Shannon talking like, that was weird. That was weird. She was like, were you, and Shannon's like, your relationship wasn't on the same level pretty much as our relationship. And Tamara's like, no, it wasn't. So Heather comes and she sits back down. And you could tell Heather felt awkward because she started mentioning like the hanging lights and how they make anything beautiful. And I was like, girl, you feel uncomfortable because that's why you got up. Because you thought the reaction was going to be different and it wasn't, and now you feel weird and awkward. So she sits down. So then Shannon pretty much says, I'm angry with you, Heather, for saying that after you saw that me and Tamara, after I say me and Tamara are in a good place, and I called you telling you I was crying about our relationship and how I wanted to be better, and like you did that, and you saying this is the lowest moment, when that's not the lowest moment. It shouldn't be the lowest moment that you and Taylor got into it. And that's what Tamara says. Tamara was like, I would think that would be your lowest moment. And Heather's like, no, I didn't want to go back there. And plus, that's just something I thought off the top of my head. So Shannon's like, so you wanted to make this your lowest moment, this situation, but not the real lowest moment. So Shannon is doing all these theatrics for Tamara, who pretty much said that you were a shitty person and an alcoholic, after she got kicked off the show because she was butthurt that she didn't get renewed, her contract didn't get renewed, and you got renewed. Shannon is doing all of this for Tamara. Who I guarantee you, if Tamara's on here next season, is going to throw Shannon under the bus. So I'm just like, really, Shannon? You doing all of this? So Heather ends up saying, like, I didn't say it was a y'all thing. I said it was a me thing. I know these are my feelings. So Tamara's like, I think she's just jealous of our relationship. Shannon is like, Heather always wants us to be a competition between us. And I'm like, there is no competition, girl. You got divorced. Your husband left you destitute and broke. And now you're trying to get back to that, which you're doing a good job at it, Shannon. But there was never a competition between you and Heather. Because I would take Terry DeBro any day. Any day. Even if he out here in these streets cheating. So don't do that. Don't do that. Because David was out here actively disrespecting you. And you're caping for someone whose husband said that David was the best part of y'all being friends with them. Eddie actively said that David was the best part of your relationship, and he didn't understand how he put up with you. That is who you are championing, like who you're caping for right now. Tamara. Okay, girl. Okay, Shannon. So Heather pretty much says, you know what? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brung it up. I'm really sorry. I should not have brung it up. My bad. And then Shannon's like, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. But Heather is like, I still do feel like I'm being left out. Like, this is just a buildup. Like, everybody's like, and then they show it. Like, Tamara were all clicked up throughout the trip. Even when Heather came in to see how they were doing in the morning, they pretty much was like, why you in here? So they were standoffish. So her feelings aren't just made up. So I was just like, really? So then Taylor ends up talking about her lowest moment, and she talks about her fight with Heather. And I will say in this moment, Heather just should have accepted the apology and moved on, because it was like the situation was already awkward and everybody at the table was already looking at you like you was crazy, and you kind of put a target on your back because you didn't readily accept the apology. Because Taylor is like, you know what? I hate that we got into it. You were so helpful and so willing to be a part of it, and I'm sorry about that. And Heather pretty much in Capricorn fashion, because we do this, I'm going to get all my feelings out and let you know where we stand and don't play with me again. Heather pretty much tells Taylor, like, yes, I'm a good person. That's why I helped you out. And in return, and next time, if you got an issue, talk to me. Don't talk to all of these women at this table. But you could tell that everyone was kind of put off by Heather's reaction or how she was taking it, because they were like staring at her with the side eye. So then Jen talks about her lowest moment being about like her situation with Tamra, as well as Gina being triggered by her. And I'm like, Jen, why would you ever say that? Why would you even give her that? And I was glad that Tamra asked Gina, are you still in love with Matt? Excuse me. And Gina was like, no, I'm not still in love with him. Like, guys, it's just like the expectations of where I thought my life would be. And like, it's not that, like, the rug was pulled off and under me. And I'm like, yes, grieve those expectations, but the way in which you are grieving those expectations makes everybody feel like you're still in love with the man that was out here who assaulted you and who was actively cheating on you the majority of your marriage. And them asking you that is a valid question. A valid question. So then she's like, I didn't have time to process. Oh, I can't stand Gina. I cannot stand her. So Shannon was like, Gina, I'm worried for you because you keep bringing this up. I think you're going to push Travis away. And Heather seconded it, was like, yeah, that's what we were talking about in the car. So then Gina gets mad at Heather, but not Shannon. And she's like, don't do that, Heather. I'm a real person with real feelings. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, you were agreeing with Heather in the ATV at the beginning of the episode, and Shannon just reiterated what Heather said, just in a different way, but you're mad at Heather? You're pissed off at Heather? No, Gina is a leech. And now that she's gotten what she wants from Heather, and she sees that it looks like everyone's about to be against Heather now that Shannon and Tamra clicked up, she's now about to be siding with Tamra and Shannon because she could tell that the tides are turning at this table. Like, Heather pretty much put a target on her back by saying that she feels left out because now the girls are going to have an issue with Heather. And I'm just like, Gina is the definition of a succubus. Like, girl, like, you discarded Shannon when Heather got up on the show. Now you're about to do it to Heather so you can click up with Shannon and Tamra. I can't. In the OC. And there was a scene with Emily and her daughter. We see that she got booked for a few gigs, but I don't know what really they was talking about during that scene because I fast forwarded through it, just letting you know. So the next scene we have is of Eddie and Tamara walking, and they get to the top of this mountain while they're walking, and pretty much Eddie is like, what's happened in Montana? We also find out while they're walking up to the hill that Tamara and Eddie have a CBD company called Vina. Yeah. And that is what they're putting most of their efforts into now. So they let go of Cut Fitness and they still have another business. So they should be fine. So Tamara's just like, yeah, he just needs to start going to work there because I want my man to be working. I don't, I ain't gonna fault her. You don't have no bum at your house. So while they're at the top of the mountain, Eddie's like, what happened in Montana? How'd it go? And Tamara was like, well, Jen was really on the chopping block. And he was like, really? And she was like, yeah, I pretty much told her about Ryan. And he was like, what happened with Ryan? And she says, I heard like, the first. So this is the thing with this story about Ryan and him saying that he wanted to F Tamara. It's not making sense to me just a little bit, because when she told Shannon and Heather when they were in Montana, she said her friend Heather Amon told her that when they went to the gym together, when Ryan saw Tamara, he said he wanted to F her. And then Heather said, no, you're not. She's married. And he said, like, it's whatever. Like, so. But when she's telling Eddie this, she said Jen, or maybe I heard it wrong, that when Jen brought him to the gym for the first time, he said it. I don't know if Heather was there and that's who he said it to. You know what? That would make more sense. If Heather was there when Jen and Ryan came to Cut Fitness for the first time, and then when Jen left and he saw Tamara and said it. But the story is I feel like Tamara is embellishing. I felt like that she was embellishing when I saw this scene, but it wasn't until we got to see Ryan and Jen sit down that I felt like Tamara was telling the truth. So then while they're up there, you got Eddie being like, for real? He really said that? And then Eddie ends up saying that, I went and hung out with Ryan and a couple of his friends at his place. And one of his friends told me, like, be careful having your wife around him because he sleep with married women. And Tamara's like, seriously? So then Tamara in her confessional talk about how she hates to see people in the wrong relationship, and they flash back to Brooks and Vicky's relationship. Everybody could see Brooks and Vicky didn't need to be together. But girl, calm down. You're not that girl, Tamara. You're not that girl to be telling anyone about their relationship. So chill out. So we then have the scene with Jen and what's his name? And Ryan. So she's over at Ryan's house. Ryan's house actually is nice. Cute little golden retriever in the pool and everything. And so she sits down. They sit down and have the conversation. And she talks about how beautiful Montana was and how the fire pit situation was like serene. It was a dream. So she gets into the nitty gritty about everything. She was like, well, Tamara pretty much told me that you said that you wanted to F her. Ryan is like, she was joking, right? Like, she meant that in a joking way. And Jen is like, no, she meant that in a serious way, that you said you wanted to F her. And she pretty much says that Heather Amon told her that stuff. And Ryan is like, wow. And then she brought up the whole, sending the dick pics. And he was like, did you tell her, like, I did that by mistake? Which I still don't understand how you do that by mistake. I don't get how you do that by mistake. I don't. Anytime you out here sending nudes, you need to be sure that you sending it to the person you want to receive it. So they start to give us more information about Heather Amon. So it seems like Heather Amon and Ryan used to be like best friends, but it seems more like they were F buddies. Because when men like Ryan are like, that's my sister, it's giving that y'all having sex. That's just what it is. She's your friend. She's my best friend. You're sleeping with her. And Jen basically says that Heather would tell her stuff about Ryan, but tell Jen not to tell Ryan. And then Jen started to look at her relationship with Ryan differently. Mind you, I do feel like that is messy, but you're with a man who is actively, who everyone knows is the town whore, who told you when y'all first got together that he has never been faithful. Then you tell the ladies that when y'all were on a break, because it doesn't sound like a break. It sounds like y'all got into a fight and then he said, let's take a break so he could go cheat. And Tamara knows the girl that he went and cheated with, and you just took him back. So girl, it's a lot of things going on in this relationship that don't make sense, Jen. I'm sorry. You're with a whore. That's what happens when you're with somebody like that. So Tamara ends up telling us that Tamara ends up telling us that they do we see Tamara in a confessional that Jen, Heather, and her used to be like the new Trace Amigas, and then everything fell apart when Jen stopped wanting to be around Heather. So I'm like, girl, okay. And my thing about it is that I thought Tamara might have been embellishing, but then when Ryan said jealousy is a bitch, I said, you out here cheating, bro. You out here cheating. Anytime you get with a man and he immediately goes to, oh, they're just jealous of our relationship, that's just why they telling you that stuff. He in them streets, and he in them streets bad. And that means people know he in them streets, and he's just trying to get in your mind that they hating on you. Girl, when everyone is telling you this and you know your man is capable of doing something like that, they're telling you the truth. You just don't want to see it. You just don't want to see it. Now, I do agree that Tamara is going about this in the most negative way, and it's wrong, because if Jim was really Tamara's friend, she would pull that girl aside and be like, hey, girl, I heard this, and this, and I know you don't see it for Heather, but Heather don't be lying about this man you with. She know him. Then this outcome probably would be different. But now Jen don't see it for Tamara, and she's like, I don't move this way, and I'm going to have a talk with her, because this is not how I operate in my friendships. And she has every right. She ends up saying that she's also biting her tongue when it comes to Eddie, which means Eddie might be in these streets too, and she knows some things about Eddie. I said, Tamara, stop playing with Jen. Stop playing with her. Stop playing with that lady. And you crossing the line, because I saw you in the preview throw that napkin in her face, and she was well within her right to throw a drink in your face. And because don't throw objects at people. Don't do that. You're a grown woman. You are damn near 60. You might even be 60. Don't be doing that to people. Is she 60? Let me see how old Tamara is. I'm out here saying the lady's 60. She might not even be 60. Let me see. Tamara Judge. 55. She close. Stop. The scene of the episode is a scene between Travis and Gina. So they're at their place. We see Gina's son, and he's talking about he got money from his daddy, $20 for his tooth. You gonna need to give me 20 as well. She like, girl, no, maybe about 5 or 6, but not 20. So they sit down to eat, and pretty much Gina is trying to play mental gymnastics to justify her frustration and anger with Heather. So she sits down with Travis. She pretty much talks about how she likes her friendships to be easy, and her friendship with Heather isn't really easy. And she doesn't know where they're going to go from this, because she was like, Heather of all people should understand like where I'm coming from. Like, we used to be really close. And I'm like, but y'all are not close because you chose to not return her text messages or her calls. And she said that. And you admitted that you did that. So what are you talking about? So Gina brings up how, Heather wanted me to make all these changes, and I made those changes for her, but she's not being a good friend to me. I don't like when people are saying I'm not a good friend and they're not being a good friend to me. I was like, because you've shown not to be a good friend. Heather has shown to be a good friend. She told you that you are ultimately going to push the man you claim is your person away by constantly bringing up your ex. And even Travis said, like, people don't really want to hear about your ex all the time, but I'm Gina's person, so it's okay. That's a crock of doo-doo. You should not be, and I feel bad for Travis, and I'm mad that I'm feeling bad for this man, because I don't feel bad for men. But you should not be doing emotional labor to this extent for someone who is your significant other. That is not your job. Gina has a job on this show. I don't know what she do without this show, but she has enough money to get pay a therapist for at least a good year to really actively work through these issues and these feelings that she has about her ex-husband. You should not be taking that on. That aggravated the hell out of me, that man sat there and was like, it's okay, because it's not okay. It is not okay for you to be your partner's therapist. That creates a toxic relationship. Yes, your partner should listen to you. You should be able to vent. You should be able to work through those issues. But I should not constantly have to hear about your significant other, because then it would make me feel like you're not over them. And that's what it feels like. And the thing about it is, Gina is pivoting from this whole Jen situation to now having beef with Heather and saying Heather is condescending and Heather is all of this stuff, because she doesn't like the fact that Heather and Tamara are friends, because she talks about how she's like, she wouldn't let me call you. You could have called that man if you felt like it. So don't even do that. She's like, Travis, she wouldn't let me call you. And then I felt like I'm burdening you by calling you. But then she was all up over there with Tamara sitting down when we were in the room, but then didn't call and check on me the next day to see if I was okay. Girl. Really? Because she was the first one that went after you and sat in the ATV with you when everybody else was just looking at you like, okay, there she go. Nobody else really cared that much about you. But Heather went to the ATV to sit down with you. So what are you talking about? So Travis is saying like, well, maybe Heather's going through a lot because she is thoughtful. 2 of her kids are about to leave. And then, not Shannon, but Gina's like, yeah, she is very thoughtful. It's just like, this is not a side of her I've never seen. This is stupid, and you're stupid, and I'm annoyed by this storyline because it's a crock of stupid. So the storyline is so actively stupid. So then Travis is talking about, well, people don't like to hear about their ex, but I'm her person. That just does not make sense to me. It doesn't. And he's like, well, maybe you need to talk to Heather, Gina, and, tell her how you're really feeling. And then she can tell you how she's feeling, and then y'all can go from there. But if she doesn't receive it well, then all you can do is move forward. And then Gina ends it with being like, she's disturbed that Heather can't see that Travis is her person. How could she when you actively are breaking down about your ex-husband? Because if you found your person, I'm not worried about the man I left. It's not like that doesn't, it's not computing. The dots are not connecting, and you are actively stupid and getting on my nerves. I want her off my show. I want her off this show. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. Hop down in the comments below if you like what you heard. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and legit, tell me how you feeling. Tell me how you feeling, okay? Let me know. But yeah, y'all, I'm out. Deuces.